match, gentlemen. Yes, a win for Flash Wolves that they'll be happy to have gotten, but I'm not quite sure they're going to be terribly happy with how the game went, as it was a rather slow start for this team through the first 20 minutes.
It was. Like, if you're going to go LeBlanc, Lee Sin, what you want to do with his compositions is you want to have some early kills in the pre-15 minutes. And actually, Karsa, he tried a couple ganks. He fell behind really far, 2 camps up, and he didn't get much done. But what Flash Wolves are willing to do is they're willing to sit on the LeBlanc. In their eyes, if the LeBlanc gets to 30 minutes and it's a slow game, no kills, then LeBlanc is going to get a lot of stuff done just with the item lead.
But I think that this is kind of a little bit worrisome, because when we saw the Flash Wolves, we thought, you know, they can play 2 different styles. They have the scaling Gangplank, but when they play Assassins, they actually have learned how to play a fast-paced League of Legends. This game, even though it went 30 minutes, they weren't really proactive with their composition until they started capitalizing on mistakes on SuperMassive. And other teams aren't going to make these mistakes, in my opinion, because we've seen a lot of grouped up 5v5 team fights, and SuperMassive's mistakes were actually like, we're not going to stay together as a unit. We're going to jockey for position a little bit too much with a 1-3-1, and Flash Wolves, definitely the more experienced team, took advantage of that, but I don't know if it was in fashion that they would have liked to have been able to win that game.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm in a little bit of a time capsule or something, because this is the Flash Wolves I saw at Worlds. They were the ones that were slow early game, and then Maple would try and solo carry the game. And it happened a little bit here, but during the regular season and the playoffs in LMS, they were able to play that faster game. So I agree that it's worrisome that they haven't been able to transition that yet onto this stage.
And I also think that another thing you will worry about is we've seen Dumbledoge and Achuu just get a little bit bullied time in this tournament so far. NL and SwordArt did not punish the Ezreal lane at all. In fact, I think Achuu was, in my opinion at least, the Braum Ezreal lane was ahead for the majority of that game until they started moving around the map, in which case Flash Wolves gives a lot of side lane farm over to the AD carry. So I think that they will look at this and think, we beat them as a team 100%, but our individual 5v5 players, apart from, in my opinion, Maple, didn't really step up overly much in this game.
Now, I will say one thing, though. I think Flash Wolves did turn around a little bit, and they prioritized Dragon a lot more. This is something coming into the tournament I actually talked to Steak about, and they say after watching the Korean finals where SKT prioritized Dragon to get fight that much, that's something they're willing to do more.
I think the devil's advocate point of that is that it did come at the expense of an early turret and some Rift Herald. So it's nice to see that they are putting that priority there. Now it's about, can they clean up the rotations and make sure that they're not sacking so much early in the game in order to secure it.
And to extend on that, even though they did have the Lee Sin and LeBlanc, like they were against a top lane Fizz when they had Maokai. So the scaling advantage was still in the favor of Flash Wolves, which makes it excusable if they want to slow play that game. And by slow play, they still won at 30 minutes. So like, we were expecting them to kind of come out guns blazing, get a huge goal lead, and they didn't do that. But they still knew they had the big compositional advantage.
Spawn, how about that Fizz, though, and fabFabulous? I love that pick.
It's a good pick, but we have to snowball the game with it.
You do have to snowball the game, but I honestly think that fabFab was not to blame for that. You saw that even when they were taking turrets, he was one of the few people that would walk up and keep hitting the turret. He understood that he had a timer on the game. It's just maybe Stomaged that didn't quite get the memo on that. He was more than willing to slow pay. I mean, he's on the Graves. I think Ezreal as well. So it was a mismatch composition to me. Like, they had 2 very safe scaling, then they had the Fizz. But we've seen it twice now. It's lost twice. It didn't really win lane that game. I like it as a pick, but I think they do need to go back to conventional. They've done it with Dumbledoge. He's back on the Braum. Now get fabFabulous on something like a Poppy.
Yeah, well, needless to say, Flash Wolves will be happy to have secured the win and move to 2-1 in the tournament. SuperMassive still looking for their first victory. We need to take a quick break, but stay right there, because just in a few minutes, Europe's G2 Esports will look to pick up their first win against the undefeated Royal Never Give Up. We'll be right back.
We are now into the game. SuperMassive looking for that upset.
Ages in though, Lissandra picks up 1, Karsa stuck under the turret, the fish is gonna catch him, that will be a deadly sin. 2-2, there was another kill that's come through thanks to Maple. Fabulous goes in for the back line, looks at the damage to Maple, will not quite get it, and now getting run down, the red buff's gonna work, and the double kill comes through after all. Here's the backline access, Maple gets 1, Maple gets 2, he looks for 3, and he's gonna get it, a triple kill.